heck, we're on to the Chargers, so I'll do the best I can to remember what happened yesterday. But I'll open it up.
All right, we'll go first to Sam McDowell. Go ahead, Sam.
Hey, Steve, I think I told you last year, we all request that Brad keeps his camera off.
Good move.
Just because it's a Thursday game and it's such a tight turnaround, I wanted to get a little bit into how you prepare for this game. I mean, do you have to start preparing for this game even before yesterday's game arrives at all?
Yeah, well, to be honest with you, I don't venture down that road at all because from a play caller's standpoint, I've tried it before. It gets confusing. I get jersey numbers mixed up. So I didn't do anything with it. But the rest of the staff was well into it Saturday morning, maybe even some of the guys Friday afternoon. But they were just putting together things for me. And listen, you know, Dave, Brendan, Matt, all our assistants, they pretty much know what we're looking for and what I tend to lean towards. So they've kind of gotten me ahead.
So basically, by the time you arrive today, you've got notes, all that sort of stuff kind of already waiting on you. Yeah,
they had it on my desk this morning when I came in here real early. So I started reviewing it then. We haven't done much with yesterday's game for obvious reasons because this comes really quick. But we just got out of a meeting now and we're trying to lay out what we're going to do this afternoon and really into tomorrow morning.
Let's go next to Adam Teicher. Go ahead, Adam.
Hey, Steve, a couple of things. First of all, just as a follow-up on that, do you feel like with your experience in these Thursday games that you're as prepared, your assistants are as prepared, the players are prepared as they would be for a Thursday night game as they would have been for a Sunday game? And Brad, I'll have a second question as well.
Well, I'm not so sure you can ever, because you can't get your eyes, Adam, on as much film, obviously, because real quickly here we have to feed something to the players. But one of the things I talked with the staff about this morning is, and I'll talk to the players about this afternoon, is that on like tomorrow, which is Tuesday, and Wednesday, which like is a Saturday, we have to be ready to maybe tweak, change, add. We wouldn't normally do that during a normal week. We wouldn't try to add things on a normal Friday or Saturday, but we have to treat this like we're in the game. And at halftime, we made an adjustment. I think the guys just have to have that mindset when the week is really, really short.
Okay. And this season on defense has been remarkable to me because of the number of guys who maybe weren't playing well early in the season that all of a sudden are. I think probably after yesterday's game, Mike Hughes has to go in that category, right? Well, what told you that Mike was a good choice to replace L'Jarius and that he was going to respond yesterday?
Well, I tell you what, first of all, what Dave Merritt and Sam Madison do with him, and I've watched Mike this whole season, and not one time, even when maybe things didn't go great early and he wasn't getting as many reps and Rashad stepped in there, Mike just kept on working. I mean, not one, he was a pro about it. And he knew, I think he knows, he's been in the league long enough to know that at some point his number was going to be called and he was ready for it. And I thought he did a really good job yesterday as well.
Let's go next to Pete Sweeney. Go, Pete.
Coach, the second look at Justin Herbert, how far do you feel like he's come in these two seasons, and what are the difficulties in preparing for what he does?
This guy, I'll tell you, I am, every time I turn the tape on, I'm amazed at how good he is. Accurate. He's big. He's athletic. Really smart. I mean, he's the whole package. I think, it's been a while. I have a lot of respect for Derek Carr. We did a good job yesterday. But this guy is going to be a real challenge for us. And I know our guys expect that. He makes that whole thing go. This is one of the elite quarterbacks, in my opinion.
Let's go next to Mick Schaefer. Go ahead, Mick.
Hey, Steve, 3 straight games of 9 points allowed, and you have the 6 straight of 17 or less. You've coached a lot of great defenses. I'm sure you've had stretches like this. When was the last time you've had a stretch like this points-wise for a defense?
Well, I don't listen. I don't want to jinx anything because we want to keep doing it. In answer to your question, the only one that pops in my mind is in 2019. I think we had back-to-back 3-point games because I remember somebody saying that it was the first time Andy had a team that had that. So listen, that's great. The only thing is we can't take it with us for this game. We're hoping to duplicate that, but I do think this offense we're getting ready to play is one of the better ones we're going to play all year long. I really feel that way. I'm glad the guys have done what they've done, and when it's all said and done, it really does come down to points allowed. That's what we're most focused on.
Let's go next to Seren Petro. Go ahead, Seren.
And Brad, I'll have a quick follow-up. Coach, a lot of conversation about how your defenses get better. There have been a lot of people that have covered you for quite some time that say, hey, that's one of the things you can count on, a Steve Spagnuolo defense getting better. Why is that? And do you ever look at it and say, well, we're slow starters, right? What's the difference between getting better and, why you can't say be what you are today there on week one?
Yeah, there's a lot to it, but I will say this. I mean, the only reason we're able to do it in any of these years is because of the assistant coaches, in my opinion. Guys that believe in what we're doing, and then they get their players to buy in, and it's rep after rep after rep after rep. I mean, I'm fortunate in that way that we have guys that have been together, and we know that, listen, when we're not doing well, we know why, and our coaches get it fixed. And that's the greatest thing about having the crew that we have. I'm talking about the coaches. And then you just add to that players that embrace it. They don't give up. They don't give in. They don't point fingers. Those two elements have been the biggest thing and the reason we've been able to do what we do. And we just got to continue to do that.
And how, I don't know if excited is the right word, right? You like your job, so I'm sure you're excited for every team that you play. But first time around, no Frank Clark, no Charvarius Ward, no Willie Gay. And of course, Melvin Ingram wasn't on the team. Lot more, clubs in the bag to attack this time.
Yeah. Serena, until you had just said that, I hadn't even realized that. Quite really, in all honesty. Well, I hope that tips it the other way then, because we certainly need to play better defense than the last time we played them. But I think a lot of that had to do with how good they were, not necessarily the guys we had out there. But I'm hoping that we can continue to do what we're doing and function as a unit and go out there and try to help our organization win a game.
We've got time for two more. We'll go Matt, Derek, and then Herbie. Go ahead, Matt.
Hey, Coach, appreciate your time on a short week.
Sure.
I wanted to go back to Saturday when you get the tragic news about L'Jarius and his family. And what's the timeline for you as far as, changing your game plan and getting it so that guys like Mike Hughes and Tyron are ready to step in and take some of his duties and change your game plan essentially in 24 hours?
Yeah. First of all, my heart goes out to L'Jarius. I love that young man, and I know he's going through a hard time right now. It happened quick. We're fortunate in that we have a guy like Tyron who can listen. We asked him to do a lot of things. We asked him to go play nickel when he didn't get hardly any reps during the week, and it was exciting that we got Rashad Fenton back. That helped, and we didn't know whether we were going to get him or not until yesterday morning. So I would just credit all of the guys rallying around together, along with the coaches, the coach on the back end there, Dave and Sam, in getting that done, because that wasn't easy. And certainly our D line, I think, took it upon themselves, knowing that there were some moving pieces back there to take control of things up front. And they did that right from the beginning. So it was great to see.
We'll go last to Herbie. Go ahead, Herbie.
Hey, Coach, good afternoon. It's noon now, so I can say good afternoon.
Okay, you got it. 12:01 on my clock. So you're good.
Sort of a follow-up to Matt, because Matt actually stole my question there. But you mentioned the quick turnaround there with Matthew playing the slot and Fenton being limited last week, short week this week. If he's able to put in full practices, how much does that adjust what you want to do in that slot cornerback if Fenton can go?
Yeah. Yeah, we gotta check out and see where Rashad is right now. So it's all more of a challenge with the short week. Coach Reed does a great job with taking care of these guys as we segue through these next couple of days. So there'll be a lot less on their bodies from a physical standpoint. And right now it's really just mental. Let's see who we can line up in certain spots to have it mentally, who has the foundational reps in a certain position, and then go forward. Again, I would go back to crediting those guys on the back end for doing what they did yesterday in a short period of time. It was really, it was concerning for me going in. I mean, that's just how you are as a coach, right? When all of a sudden you lose one of your best players. But they, next guy stepped up, and I thought a bunch of guys did a nice job back there.
Go ahead, Sam.
Eric, we talked to Josh Gordon after the game yesterday, and he mentioned that he's dealing with some self-doubt just in the fluidity of his movements. I wonder if, first of all, you can tell me how you coach a guy who's dealing with that. And second of all, I know it's just one play, but do you feel like a touchdown can maybe ease some of that self-doubt?
Oh yeah, I feel a touchdown can bring a lot of happiness and a lot of take a lot of pressure off. And the thing about it, it's kind of strange that he said that, because I thought the past 2 weeks he's moved better than what we've ever seen him move. And and you got to understand, the kid hasn't played football in a while, so everybody wants him to be something. It's a process, and so I think he's taken the necessary steps to be exactly right where he needs to be at the right particular time. And I tell you what, it was great seeing him get in the end zone yesterday. That was a great feeling. And it was an emotional uplift, not just for him, but did you see how all the guys rallied around him? Because they're happy for him, and that just goes to show you the type of team and type of players that we have in this organization.
We'll go next to Pete Sweeney. Go ahead, Pete.
Coach EB, I know that there's been a little bit of a boosted emphasis on getting the running backs involved, be it called runs or short passes out of the backfield. How do you feel like that type of thing is maybe opening things like the 44-yarder to Hardman or the 30-plus yarder to Hill later on in the game?
You know what I think? First of all, Greg Lewis is doing a heck of a job with those guys. And please do not share that with Greg, because I'd never hear the end of it. He will not be quiet for the rest of the week. But he's doing a heck of a job with those guys. And it's good seeing these guys get involved, not only in the run game, but also in the pass game, and these guys are maximizing their opportunities and they're making the most of it. But on top of that, the run game has been consistent because it's opening up things down the field. What a great job by McCole on the double move, and hell, Tyreek and Kels just doing their thing on a consistent basis. So we're satisfied with the guys, but we still understand that we still have a lot of things that we can continue to work on and to improve upon, especially this week with the challenge that we're going to be presented with Mr. Bosa being back and healthy.
We'll go next to Mick Schaefer. Go ahead, Mick.
Hey, Eric, last time around against the Chargers, you got a few games this year where you've come out afterward and said, hey, we're moving the ball. We just shot ourselves in the foot. Was that kind of the poster child for that game this year and the game you'd like to have back the most, and one I guess you kind of maybe do get to have back this week?
You know what? Obviously, you always want to have an opportunity to take games back. But I will say this, that game was probably a valuable learning lesson for us. Because first of all, it just goes to show you, when you take the little things for granted, how things can come back and bite you right in the tail. And so one thing that we focus on, I think we've done a great job of, and we have to continue this, is protecting the football. If we protect the football, we're giving ourselves a chance. On top of that, if we eliminate the penalties, we're giving ourselves a chance. So I told our guys throughout the course of this year, although we've had these tough losses, if we handle it the right way by learning and focusing on the fundamentals, it could be beneficial for us later on. And it's starting to pay dividends.
We've got two more. We'll go Darren and then Sarin. Go ahead, Darren.
Hey, Brad, I'll have a follow-up to this one. Coach, going back to Josh Gordon, was it a concerted effort to try to make sure that you all got him into the end zone yesterday? And then based off of that, do you foresee him being more involved in the offense, where Patrick is looking for him as much, or if not as much, as Tyreek and Kelsey? And I do have a follow-up.
Okay. Well, first of all, it's always been a concerted effort for us to get him in the end zone. It's just whenever that opportunity can present itself. And I thought he did a heck of a job of making the play. And the thing that I loved about him, not only did he make the play, it was just a celebration with the guys of seeing them go out there and be just as excited as he was. And, I'm just happy for him. But each and every week, Darren, the challenge is to make sure that we can get him involved. And obviously with some of the things that have worked out, sometimes it just doesn't work out that way. But it's not anything intentional or unintentional that we're doing. We want him to go out there and have the success that he can have, but the thing is we're running our system. And the thing is, all of our guys are involved. And do we want Josh to go out there and have a 100-yard receiving game? Of course we do. And we're hoping that happens sometime in the very near future.
And secondly, this is a couple of things different from the first game that you all played against the Chargers versus what we're seeing now. You all had 4 turnovers, didn't force any. we saw yesterday where the team created 5 turnovers and created more opportunities for the offense. How important will that be in Thursday night's game? And then also you all rushed for 186 yards in that first game. Do you see the running game being more of a main factor in Thursday?
Well, one thing we always discuss, if we protect the football, I like our chances. I think we give ourselves a great chance of winning. On top of that, if we can eliminate the penalties, I think we're giving ourselves a chance. Obviously, it's always good when you can run the football. Why? It takes a lot of pressure off the passing game. I thought the guys did a heck of a job. Kudos to the O-line. On top of that, the tight ends and the receivers in the back end, because it's not just the guys up front, it's everybody collectively as a whole. And I thought the backs did a good job of hitting the holes. But when it's all said and done with, we just need to continue to stay the course. Okay, we got to focus on the details that are necessary for us to have the success that we want. And like I said, throughout, this entire season, when we're going through those tough times, if we can continue to handle those situations, they're going to be valuable lessons for us, because you never want to feel like we did in those particular moments, because we felt we lost the game more than some of those teams won the game. But that's a part of the nature of this business. You can't take anything for granted.
We'll go last to Sarin Petro. Go ahead, Sarin.
And Coach, I'll have a quick follow-up. Just first of all, we heard kind of Sam McDowell asked Coach Spagnuolo about the short week, right? Like, how do you cram 15 pounds into a 10-pound bag this week? Like, we get a little bit done last week, no sleep? Like, how do you make it all work?
Well, here's what you do. First of all, you have some of your assistants start working ahead, okay? And then start putting together the base game plan and just getting ideas together. And so, and that way the bulk of the stuff is done. I know myself, Coach Reed came in here last night, watched a few things just to make sure we can get back and figure out who the Chargers are and erase what we just did yesterday with the Raiders. But so you have guys working ahead, and then we got a good jump on them last night, and then you utilize all the things and tools that from the previous time that we played them, and understanding the type of system, the defensive scheme that the coach runs. And then you just you put the plays together, and then you go from there. But is it tough? Yeah, it's tough on everyone, but it makes it better when you're playing against an AFC West opponent, because you have some familiarity.
Okay, and then we saw Josh Allen and Lamar Jackson. Josh Allen made it through the game, but obviously got banged up in it. Lamar Jackson didn't make it through the game. What's the edict? What do you and Andy say to Patrick Mahomes? Like, is there you get down by this point? Like how do you protect the guy? Who's got the ball in his hands the most?
Well, I remember yesterday when he took off running, and I'm on the sideline yelling, "Slide, slide, slide." And he lets this guy fits him up with the perfect tackle. I'm like, man, listen, we don't want you showing up in anybody defensive clinic tapes on how to make the perfect tackle. We want you showing up on all the correct offensive tapes on the correct way to slide. I'm like, man, we don't need you to be the hero. And he understands that. I think he just got caught up in the moment. But the thing that we just want him to do is just make sure he's taking care of himself and not allowing his competitive nature, all right, to get caught up in the moment.
Coach EB, we appreciate the time. Thanks for joining us.
Thank you guys. You guys have a great week.